All right. Well, welcome everybody to the Fan Express line here at the Skol Purple Podcast. My name is Steggy, and as usual, I am joined with Mr. Carson Schubert. We also have David with us here today. Tough one, fellas. Tough one. 40-3 was the final. A stunner at home. I will be honest. This one felt a little bit like a loss before the game started, where I thought, this could be a game we could easily drop. Obviously, we're coming off of an exhausting game against the Bills, and I just thought that there was a chance we'd lose this one. But the other thing I'm going to be honest about is that I did not see us losing 40-3. So, that's quite the loss. It was an ugly one. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it. But, of course, welcome, Carson. Welcome, David. How are you guys feeling? Maybe we'll start off with Carson, then we'll work into David.
Yeah. Hey, Grandizer. Appreciate you getting in here, man. Yeah, we are live. We shouldn't be, but here we are. Yeah, I think the best thing I can say right now is just like Kevin O'Connell said after the Vikings won in week 1 against the Packers, this league has a way of humbling you very quickly. And that is exactly what happened to the Minnesota Vikings today. They got extremely humbled in Minneapolis today on national television. I call it a primetime game because the whole country pretty much was watching that game. They had to move it to Paramount Plus at the end, and it is the second worst loss in Vikings history today by points that the opponent won by. So if that tells you anything about how well this game went, there you go. But I think the number one takeaway is that the Vikings have some injuries that were also a big part of this, but also that the fact that the Vikings saw all of their weaknesses that they have on this team, exposed today. Every single one of them were exposed. Now, I'm not saying that means that they're going to lose the rest of their games because all their weaknesses have been exposed, but they're out there now. People know it. That it's on film. People are going to use that against them. And now it's Kevin O'Connell and Ed Donatel and the rest of the coaching staff's responsibility to go out there the next few weeks and be able to combat what the other teams have been throwing at them with some Band-Aids or whatever you want to call them, just to be able to fix this and figure out how we can do this as well. Yeah, it's a horrible loss. There's not a whole lot you can say, Grandizer, but I do think it's not an end-all, be-all, and I don't think we should totally be like, oh wow, season's over now. This all came crashing down in one game. Now, I will say I was talking with my dad, and I just said to him, you look at this schedule here really quickly, and before I let David go here, look at this schedule the rest of the way. You look at this schedule, can you tell me that any of these games 100%, can you count any of these games 100% as a win at this point? Those teams on this schedule, look, let's go through it. New England, they've been playing pretty good football. The Jets, we know what they're capable of, other than their offense isn't that great, maybe at times, but they can run the football just like what Dallas did against the Vikings today. Detroit, we've seen what they've done, 3-game winning streak. Indianapolis, new coach, Jeff Saturday. They've been in both of their last games, winning last week, nearly beating Philadelphia today. The Giants didn't play well today. The Packers, monkey see, monkey do. Sometimes you see, you get a good game. Sometimes you don't. Most of the time, it's been no. But and then we've seen what the Bears have done offensively this year, the last several weeks. So I'm not saying they're going to lose all these games, but I'm just saying this schedule that everybody's like, oh, this is an easy schedule the rest of the way out. It's like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So I'm just saying I think we need to be prepared for maybe a little bit more humility to come. I'm not saying we're going to lose the rest of our games. I'm not saying we're going to miss the playoffs or anything extreme like that. I'm just saying this is a game that I kind of, before last week, before I fully jumped on the Super Bowl train, I was still kind of waiting for that game when all of these things were going to be exposed and the Vikings were going to, just look absolutely garbage, really look like garbage, and that's what they did today. And now where do you go from here? Is I see you put that in here, Tony. That's the next question that we'll get into. But David, what are your initial thoughts on this?
I mean, I think it's a great loss. I think it's a great loss considering the national televised game of the year. I mean, damn, NFL Network has been running in the Buffalo Bills game all week. Just running it back. I think this is a great humble loss, and they can actually, you know, kind of figure out what they need to do. Like I told you before we got online, was my biggest concern is Christian Darrisaw. I really wish
Yep.
he wouldn't have played today, and I really feel like the Vikings doubted back a lot, considering they got to play in the next 4 days, and that's extremely hard. Like I told everybody in my camp, I told them like, hey, I want a blowout, and they were like, why? It's like, I want a blowout because I want our star guys to rest, and that's a blowout even if they lost, because now that they lost, they have to pick up the pieces, going forward and figure things out. But I'm hey, are you guys familiar with Kobe saying job not done? That's what this is to me. Job not done. You beat the Bills, which was supposed to be the game of the year. Job not done. Now you got to go and regroup. The last time they lost, they ran off seven straight games. We might see it again. So I'm not too bad about them. I'm not too bad on them right now.
Yeah, one of the things that I brought up during the game, and I know I was texting Carson a bit, and there's so many expletives. No, it just was, one of the things is that, look, if we're being honest with ourselves, did we really think the Vikings were going to go 16-1?
No.
Like, no,
No.
I didn't. Maybe you or any of our listeners certainly may have thought that, but I was under no illusion that the Vikings were going to go 16-1, and I would rather have us drop a game to the Cowboys. Not that they are, in my opinion, I don't think they're necessarily Super Bowl contenders, but they're a playoff team. So I would rather drop a game to the Cowboys than, let's say, drop a game to Detroit or Chicago. And I'm not saying we couldn't still lose those games, but I think it bodes better for us to lose against a team that is also a playoff team
Right.
than drop to a much more inferior team, because look, at the end of the day, all these teams are good, and the Dallas Cowboys aren't a bad team. I mean, they were playing well coming into this game. I know they had the tough game against the Packers, but take a look at the Eagles, as Carson already mentioned. Talking about the Eagles a little bit with Indianapolis, who we face a little later this season. Yeah, they almost lost to Indianapolis, but they did lose last week in that just horrid game to the Commanders. Um, while this was much more of a blowout for the Vikings, these teams they're human beings, they're mortals, right? None of these teams are, the Patriots' perfect season, or
No.
certainly if you wanted to stick with the Vikings, this is not the '98 Vikings. None of them are. I don't think there's a team in the league that is at that kind of elite level. It just means we're vulnerable like any other team. What I'm looking forward for from the Vikings at this point is, how do we pivot? How do we get up off the mat? As David kind of pointed out, like let's regroup. Let's do some self-scouting. I think at this point, if I were to just give a biggest concern out of this game from a meta standpoint versus just an individual group of
Why are we talking
players,
about Zuckerberg?
That's right. I'm going to put my VR headset on, and I'd probably see Micah Parsons. But anyway,
That's right.
but just thinking about it from a really high
Too
level,
soon.
the biggest concern I have coming out of this game is that I didn't feel like I saw meaningful adjustments from this team in the second half. That's what
Yeah.
concerns me the most, because
It's a
every
good
good
point.
team is going to face really good teams if they go to the playoffs, and it's going to be, a blow for blow boxing match, man, and you got to know how to have a counterpunch. You got to have something else in the toolbox. And so far this year, and I think that's why a lot of the like rookie coaching staffs always get the like, well, they only like historically do this, for like records and things like that. Well, there's something to that, and part of it is it takes time to build up that toolbox. And so there have been a few times where it felt like we needed to pivot and we either got bailed out by something late in the game, like turnovers. This game we didn't get bailed out, and I don't know if we really had an answer for like anything that Dallas was doing offensively or certainly not defensively. And some of that comes down to obviously great play and injury, as we've talked about. But that was my biggest takeaway as far as red flags for this team was, kind of felt like when we got stuck in the mud, we had no way out. And that was a little concerning to me. So did you guys feel that at all? What are your thoughts there? Maybe we'll hop down to David.
I didn't feel that at all. I really felt like they were looking toward the next game for Thursday after they got behind by too many. The plays that they were running were the plays that you don't. They're doing play actions when they're running the game's not even there. They're basically just like running plays. I really think I'm not gonna say they tanked this one or they threw this one. I just kind of felt like KOC was looking at the big picture overall, saying that this team has to play again on Thursday in the next 4 days. We can't go out here and have a Buffalo Bills game back to back, because then that's how guys really get hurt when they play too many long games and too many snaps and they come to a short week. I just think this is one of these games to where it's just like they lost. So what? I hate Dallas. They move on. Dallas ain't gonna win a Super Bowl anyway. And it's just like, all right, they're gonna regroup, they're gonna get better. But I really honestly think KOC was looking towards Thursday's game.
Well, David put in our private chat that Christian Darrisaw has been ruled out for Thursday. Not really a surprise.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about this a minute, guys. Christian Darrisaw should not have played this game.
No.
I do not think he should have played this game, and I don't know if it's going to get to be as bad as the Tua situation, but I don't know how the medical team could clear him, and then all of a sudden he's got a concussion again. I don't know if you have a concussion twice in 2 weeks, or if you just because he didn't look like himself right away.
No,
I mean,
he didn't.
Like, you telling me that he was fine, and then all of a sudden he gets his second concussion? I don't think so. I think there's something more to that, and I'm not blaming KOC. It could have been the doctor or whatever, and maybe Darrisaw just passed the test, said the right things. I don't know, but
I was stuffing my face with chicken wings, so I actually didn't get the play. I didn't get to see the play, and so I must have been replating chicken wings. But but did he get? So I heard it because I was in my kitchen and I could hear what was going on. I was just trying to be really quick. And so did he get like hit in the head? Did he fall? I just totally missed it.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't even think they showed a replay of him.
It was real mysterious. It was just like I just saw Blake Brandel in there, and then they start saying, "Oh, that's Darrisaw's out. He went to the locker room." I just really think it was just like,
shouldn't have been out there.
He shouldn't have been out there.
No,
he shouldn't have been out there. And now, I just really hope that he doesn't turn into a Tua situation where he's down 4 weeks.
Yeah,
and we don't even have a bye. So that's the thing. These are 4 actual games. So I just really,
Yeah.
he's not going to play on Thursday, which will give him a long week for the next game after that. But these guys got to get healthy. They got to get healthy.
Yeah. But yeah, to your point on the Vikings, like maybe waiting to perform better next week or whatever. I mean, I think part of it goes back to just the emotions from last week. It really reminds me a lot of the loss that the Vikings had in the NFC Championship game to Philadelphia after they had the Minneapolis Miracle, and the emotions of riding high, and then, all of a sudden just they scored on the opening drive, and then just kind of straight decline after that.
The New Orleans game also, when they went and got their face kicked in San Francisco next week.
Yeah. Yep. So it seems like it happens to this team a lot. I think this is the worst that it is. I mean, 38-7 was bad, but 40-3 is just slightly worse.
Right.
But it's
Well, Dallas clearly wanted this game. I mean, because they're in the they're in the hunt. I mean, I know it's just a few games, but as we know in the NFL, it just takes a few games that separate the good teams from the great teams. And so Dallas, they're trying to make sure that they keep pace as best they can with Philly looking vulnerable. And obviously they're looking towards, at minimum, trying to get into a wild card spot. So, Dallas is hungry. And not to say that the Vikings aren't hungry, but after a while, I mean, we already talked about the nature in which we won last week, how exhausting it must be continuing to play games like this. The other aspect is that, you always take for granted what you have. And this team's had a lot of wins. So they need to learn how to lose probably again. And boy, they learned today. The difference is going to be, can they learn how to win again? So that's what we have to hope for. Obviously, quick turnaround on Thursday. Looks like we got Doyle Schubert. I believe that's Carson's senior.
Yeah,
chiming in, says we have way too much money wrapped up in Cousins. Can't get any decent free agents to better our line due to lack of funds. I think that's certainly somewhat true. I definitely would say that.
Let me say something real quick here, Tony. We cannot keep putting Christian Darrisaw, Ed Ingram, excuse me. Obviously not Christian Darrisaw next week, but we cannot keep putting Ed Ingram out there every week. It just can't happen. If you're gonna really compete, and the rest of the other linemen are doing what they're not all playing. They didn't all play very good today either. But when you have him out there on top of it, and he does what he does today, we just need to get Ed Ingram out of there, because, and I don't even know if he was the worst graded. I will have to find out from PFF or whatever. But Ed Ingram cannot keep starting there. We need to get anybody else in there right now, because this Kirk can't deal with the pressure up the middle. Most quarterbacks can't, but Kirk especially. And it was a primetime game today. I don't know if anybody took note of that, but Kirk Cousins primetime. It was more of the same.
Yeah, I think he passed indeed for $105.
Yep. Yeah. And I do agree with you, though, Tony. I don't think the Vikings made any adjustments. They did not try and they tried too many screen plays. I wanted to see more of these short little crossing routes, more drags over the middle, get Jefferson involved. It just didn't seem like the Vikings wanted to put any emphasis on any of the short stuff, except for little screen passes. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, David, but it just didn't seem like the Vikings were able to adjust to anything that the Cowboys threw at them.
I just really feel like when it comes to the screen game, no more screens to the tight end, please. You got a guy in Nwangu who's on the bench who probably wants a 4-4. You got Jalen Reagor in there.
4-3, I think.
4-3, exactly. He's a burner. But you have to throw the screen plays to the right guys. Like, the tight end screens are just dumb. Like, how many yards do you think he's going to actually
how far are they going to go? Exactly. Unless there's like 20 yards of green in front of them.
Exactly. Like, the tight ends are not, I mean, come on now. Maybe if it's, Kyle Pitts or somebody, these athletic tight ends, but Hawkinson is not that. not that, but
He's not quite up to Kyle Pitts standards with that.
But I think we're glossing over another thing with the offensive line is Cleveland got hurt too.
Yeah.
So
because Schlottman was in there.
Schlottman came in too.
Yep.
So that's another injury. Cleveland has been banged up. I mean, I'm not too hard on Ingram because he's a rookie, and I understand like he's an LSU rookie, so they're not really playing like a pro offense, blocking how an NFL would. But if you think about it from a psychological standpoint, if you pull him now, what are you going to do for the rest of his career? Like,
yeah, well,
you're going to break him, and then if you pull him and Chris Reed comes in and he's worse, what do you do then? So you're kind of stuck to just have to play him.
Yeah. The only thing is they have to figure out, like, they've got to find some tight ends to start chipping more, like, or something, because
it's a quick fix. Start playing the fullback.
Yeah.
Is that
get
simple?
CJ Ham back in there.
Is that simple? Start playing the fullback, sit KJ on the bench. That way you have more blocking. You actually have a guy who knows how to chip these guys.
And no offense to KJ, but he just has not shown out much this year. I mean, I think part of it is because of we've been still targeting Jefferson, and I mean Thielen really hasn't done a whole lot this year either. But
Sam got some looks early today, though.
Get some looks, here and there, but it seems like neither one of those guys have really thrived as a number two. Really stepped up as a yeah.
I personally think Hawkinson at this point is our second best receiver.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see he's second best from a talent standpoint. I just mean he basically is playing the role of number two.
Yeah, Kirk got a message from one of my buddies today. He also is a Justin Jefferson fantasy owner, so that this may be part of the problem. But he was kind of saying to me, like, why does Kirk, it seems like he's forcing the ball to Hawkinson. He was forcing the ball to Hawkinson today. And I kind of agreed. Like, it just seemed like that was his safety net, and he kept going to him all the time. And yeah, most of the time the defender was right there, or it was underneath so far away from a first down that it's like, yeah, we'll let you complete it and then tackle you 5 to 10 yards short of the first down, depending on how far we were back after our 20th penalty or whatever it was. But it's like, yeah, is from top to bottom, it was an absolutely terrible game for the Vikings, and I don't know. It's it definitely makes you want to self-scout yourself here the next few days. It's hard to do that, but I think to your point, David, and maybe Tony, you mentioned this as well. I think that this is a big deal that the Vikings are playing again on Thursday after you lose a game like this, because you know that the players are going to want to come back and play a good game next week. Not even next week, 4 days from now, and go and get yourself a win after this embarrassment. And that's exactly what was motivating Dallas too today, by the way.
Yeah,
when they got kicked by Green Bay in that fourth quarter last week, and they came out and they were like, we're not doing that again. And notice when the Vikings, normally they come back in that third, fourth quarter, the Vikings weren't able to do it because the Cowboys kept the gas rolling. They kept their foot on the gas. They're like, hey, we're not letting this happen again. We're going to keep on rolling here. And so I think the Vikings are going to be happy to play again Thursday, because they're going to want to go back there and say, okay, we're a better team than what we played on Sunday. Let's go out there and win. I don't know if I'm convinced that they will win because, again, prime time, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Patriots are not going to be an easy team, and I think the Patriots are going to look very similarly to how the Cowboys looked, at least in terms of what they want to do, where they want to run the ball effectively, which they did today, and they want to play good defense, which they also did today, and they were also able to get to the passer, which with Christian Darrisaw out, Matthew Judon for the Patriots, he's a really good pass rusher as well. He's no Micah Parsons, but he's still really good. So that concerns me. Some of those things concern me going into this game against New England on Thursday.
Yeah,
What's that?
Vikings will win the game on Thursday.
Yeah,
I hope so.
hope. I hope you're right, man. I really do. It would certainly be a nice Thanksgiving treat to be able to get a
Forget
win
the
on
pie. I want
Thursday.
to win.
That's exactly. Yeah, I would even forego a delicious slice of pumpkin pie with Cool Whip on the side, or maybe even on top.
On
Maybe
top,
both.
on top, or yeah, just load it up.
Yeah, I just might put one piece of pumpkin pie in the whole container of Miracle Whip.
Yeah,
Not Miracle Whip. Yeah. Am I getting it right? Yeah.
Cool Whip,
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip, not
Whip.
Miracle Whip. Ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah. The devil's mayonnaise, Miracle Whip.
That's right.
But that's what, you know what, to be honest with you guys, that's a great segue because I think that's how the Vikings felt. We wanted mayonnaise, but we got Miracle Whip. That's what we got. It just was
Oh, boy.
it was a rough game. I'm certainly looking forward to Thursday. David, I definitely hope you're right, man. I think that the Vikings can if the Vikings can right the ship and get themselves off the mat and have a good showing on Thursday, that's going to tell us a lot about this team. And I don't feel I'm going to be right there with you, man. If we come back and win on Thursday, at least, and again, in not some stupid fashion where it feels like we probably should have lost, kind of a situation. Um, I'm going to feel really good about this team. I'm not going to feel any worse than I did before this Dallas game, because again, I know they're going to lose a game or two or whatever. Those are going to come. None of them are going to feel great. Whether we lose 40-3 or 40-33, it really won't matter if we can just figure out how to get back on track. Now, if we come out and we look rough on Thursday, if we come out and it looks really flat again, I'm going to have some concerns because obviously the losing is one thing and that's the obvious part. The other thing is, it's sometimes it's easy to have these things snowball, and we're going to start facing teams each week now as we get into the latter part of the season that is either trying to scrap their way back into relevance, or they're a team that certainly is going to be okay with playing spoiler and giving us 130% because that we're a good team, and those teams might be looking towards next year, like a Bears team late in the year, a Lions team late in the year. So this will be a big one, I think, to see some bounce back here. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
You're going to find out a lot about this team on Thursday. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, and I mean, as far as on Thursday, obviously that's where we're looking next. Let's just put this game behind us. Yeah, we're gonna be like do our best impression of Goldfish and forget this one, right? As Ted Lasso would say.
Hey, that's right. That's why baseball is so nice, except if it's the last game of the year. But, then you could go back out the next day and play. It's kind of like baseball in this regard where just a few days later you get to go out there and you get to put it all back on the line. And I just hope that – because I'm just going to tell you right now, this is the big thing that concerns me, guys, against New England, is Bill Belichick is a 20 times better coach than Mike McCarthy. And if Mike McCarthy and that coaching staff's able to pick apart the Vikings and able to figure out how to get pressure on Cousins and make him fold like that, Bill Belichick's going to be able to do that same thing. And now, here's the question. Can the Vikings then make the adjustment to not let Kirk get into those situations where they give him time and he's able to make the throws down the field? And he looked rattled again today. He did. The difference was last week when he was rattled, he was able to come back and go win the game. So I think appreciate you getting in here, Grandizer, and Rap as well earlier. Appreciate it, guys. Go ahead, David.
I think last week was a different mentality from Kirk Cousins. Like last week, if you see, he was still getting rushed and getting hit, and he was chucking that ball downfield. And if you really look at this game, he was basically targeting TJ Hawkinson as a safety blanket the whole time, because I really feel like their game plan was, if you win this game, we win it. If we don't, we don't. We're not going to take any chances. And if you think about the Bills game, some of those catches that JJ made, those 50-50 balls, they could have been intercepted. But the mentality that Kirk had today was just, let's just get this game over with and go on to the next game. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I wasn't too high on that Bills game. It was great, but after Sunday, I was done with it. And they just came out. I wouldn't say they came out flat. I just think that their game plan wasn't really to try to go in here and be overly aggressive at this game. Because Kirk Cousins, we've seen him be aggressive and see him with the comebacks. He's done it already. So I think we can't like take that from him anymore. He can do it. It just wasn't the game for it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
wasn't
he
able to
needs- he
flip the
needs-
script today.
Yeah.
He needs to have time. I mean, he had no time today. And Kirk starts getting happy feet. And, one thing that, actually to compare this to another event that we just were talking about, David, last week you said, in a positive way, you said, the best thing that happened to the Vikings was Joseph missing that kick.
Yep.
Because it forced us to go into a win now, mentality on that final drive. And, in a way, I look at, I kind of look at at Kirk Cousins and his relationship with tight ends in a negative sense, and it's just like kind of one of the best things and worst things, right? Maybe one of the best things for this offense was Hawkinson, but one negative thing about Hawkinson is he starts to be that safety blanket that we used to just loathe in Kyle Rudolph.
Yes, exactly.
And when he didn't trust Irv Smith, he was almost forced to throw the ball down the field,
Right.
or in other places, because, and not even Smith, it was Johnny Munt and whatever, because obviously Smith was hurt for a bit. But now that he's got a competent tight end, are we going to start to see the conservative Kirk come back? And I think that could be a detriment to the offense in and of itself. So that's just an interesting wrinkle. What are your thoughts? Maybe we'll throw it over to you, David.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not a big Kirk Cousins hater. I'm not a big, Kirk Cousins supporter. I like the guy. The best ability that Kirk Cousins has is that he's able to start every game. He's able to get up and keep on going. I just think the mentality for this game was a little bit different. I think that Bills game, they wanted to be aggressive. And I think this Cowboys game, after the game got kind of away, it was kind of like, well, let's just check it down and lick our wounds and get to the next game. And, they had the game was over basically by the second quarter. They were down like 17. So I kind of feel like they couldn't really fight back into this game, which kind of like took their aggression from it. I mean, if you guys watched the game, like, why are these guys doing play action plays when the running game wasn't there? That was just plays to be ran. That's just, in my opinion, it was. And I don't really think, I think Hawk is going to be still going forward. It's going to be great. But the one thing I am concerned with Hawk is the penalties. He racked a couple of penalties that killed a couple of drives in the beginning of the game. So,
yeah.
I think the penalties were just absolutely atrocious all over. I mean, it wasn't just Hawk either. I mean, you had defensive penalties, and then you had some on the, it was just a bad game. But I did look up the Patriots record, so they're 6-4. I was gonna say if they were 5-5, then maybe we would win or something. just because the old 500, The Vikings only do have one win against an above 500 team. I think the Commanders technically now are above 500, but they weren't when we beat them. But yeah, it's weird how it always comes back to that, doesn't it? Like, I mean, we kind of broke that last week, and then all of a sudden it seemed like we maybe just put too much energy into that game, and then we had none left for today. But yeah, to talk about Curtis's comment here, this can't be real. It seems like we were saying that last week too, right?
Yeah.
For different reasons, obviously, but
yeah, it is a tough go. And, at the end of the day, like I said, and really all three of us have said, they're gonna have losses. The hope is that, again, we take this as a growing experience as a ball club. we start adding some more tools to the tool belt, and when we face adversity like this again, that we have an answer. So that's the hope. That's the hope for me. Obviously, like I said, put this game away. We can feel bad about it tonight, if you want, and then tomorrow we're on to the Turkey Bowl with.
We're on to the Patriots.
That's right, on to the Patriots with the Turkey Bowl, and hopefully we'll get a win there. So yeah, certainly excited. I think we're going to learn a lot about this team on Thursday. That's for sure. But Carson, do we want to shift and talk about maybe
Game ball.
our game balls of the week, or did you guys have
All
anything
to
else?
the
Any other
Cowboys.
assessments? Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Just I'd like to tuck this one to
Go
bed.
ahead,
To be
Dave.
honest with
Go
you.
ahead, David.
Another assessment that I see too. Did you guys notice Patrick Peterson changing sides?
Changing sides.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
changed sides a couple of times because I guess
Mm.
Booth was just getting beat like a drum out there, and so
Yeah.
he changed sides. Donatel doesn't normally do that.
Yeah.
So that means he's able to make adjustments.
This is why I wanted the Vikings to go get Desmond King at the deadline.
Exactly.
And people are like, "Oh wow, we're fine. Chandon Sullivan has been terrible, first of all.
Yes.
And then when you add in Andrew Booth, who was our literal third string corner on that side of the field behind Cameron Dantzler, first of all,
right.
and then a Caleb Evans. And then we have Duke Shelley, who I think should be getting more playing time, honestly, based on what I saw from Andrew Booth. But it's like, what? I'm not saying that, you knew that you were going to have these injuries to your corners, but you knew that you didn't have much depth there, or if you did have depth, it wasn't good depth.
Mhm.
There's a difference between having bodies and having good bodies or good players. Like just because you have bodies doesn't mean they should be out there. But at the same time, how are you going to know unless you put them in a game with some of these rookies? Like you got to give them a shot, you think, right? Like, I mean, if you don't have many other options, unless you would have traded for a Desmond King, which I don't think he would have cost that much, honestly. But I don't know. It's just another thing where I go back to, it's like, if you really wanted this team to compete, I think they could have used maybe a right guard and maybe a center, or not a center, another corner. Sorry.
Yeah.
But
that's going to be hard going forward, and I really think
Yeah.
that the Lewis Seen injury is hurting them also too.
Yeah.
Because Lewis Seen is a big kind of guy. He's actually bigger than some of the linebackers that they have. If they had Lewis Seen now with his speed, he would have been able to jump into that slot, just to kind of give these guys another guy out there. And now with Lewis Seen gone, the third safety is who? Josh Metellus is a special team guy. So
I think he needs to get out there more too.
Yeah, the whole DB core is kind of light right now.
Yeah.
And there's not guys out there.
To get,
yeah.
I'm
nice
gonna
to get Dantzler back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many more weeks? 2?
2 weeks.
I think 2. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and give a game ball here, and I'm going to go ahead and give it to Tony Pollard, because I'm not giving it to any Viking. I don't think anybody deserves it, unless maybe we want to give one to Ryan Wright. But I'm going to give it to Tony Pollard. He absolutely destroyed the Vikings passing game, running game. And honestly, Dak didn't even have to do that much today, guys.
No.
Like, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, Dak was playing great. Well, yeah, of course. Most quarterbacks would play great if you had that running game behind you today. Like, if Kirk would have had that lead, he would have just absolutely, or that type of running game today, he would have just been throwing dimes all over the field. But yeah, it was so impressive / also embarrassing, depending on which point of view you want to take. If you're for the Vikings, embarrassing how badly the Cowboys won on the line of scrimmage today. Like, it just wasn't even close. Wasn't even close on either side of the ball.
No.
Like, they just absolutely obliterated us on the line of scrimmage, and that was a big difference in this game. and the Vikings had no answer. And I know some people were saying Dalvin Tomlinson is a big loss, which he is. He played really well, especially in pass downs. But running wise, he was actually not graded that well by PFF in the running game this year. So I don't know how much of a difference he would have made in the running game, but he may have been better than some of the guys the Vikings were putting in there. So I don't know. It's kind of a wash in the running game. In the passing game, I can see that a little bit more, but yeah, injuries hurt, and I think one of the things that we talked about coming into the season was lack of depth on the defense, and we're seeing that come into fruition here these last couple of weeks, last few weeks with these injuries. But let's move on here. I'm going to go ahead and transition us, Tony, into the game ball. Well, I just gave mine. All right,
You gave yours. Yeah,
I gave mine.
yeah.
All right, I'm losing my mind. Thanks, Vikings. All right, go ahead, Tony. I'll give you a chance to give your game ball here.
Yeah. Do I only get one, or are we going two? I kind of feel like we probably only want to do one, right?
I'm good with one.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll just give a half a one. I'm gonna let David take the low hanging fruit. So I'm gonna take all the Vikings fans that stuck around until the end of the game.
Okay.
They get the game ball for
really
me.
digging deep.
Yeah, they get the game ball
no,
for me.
that's
I
good.
can't give it to the players, but I'm gonna give it to the fans, man. I think any of us who have been through the miracle back in 17, the miracle with Favre, the mini miracle against the Niners back in 09. There've been so many just crazy wins this season. So we've all been born into this idea that the Vikings can come back at any point in time. So, you know what? Keep showing up. There's going to be plenty more wins this year. So, game ball goes to the fans.
Bandito says he would not have been one of the ones that stuck around. Greg Lewis.
That's right.
Yes,
Back
I remember
corner
that.
of the end zone.
That was
Greg
fun.
Lewis. Yeah. David, how
He
about you?
caught it.
Where are you
You
going?
know what's so crazy about that game? I'm out here in California, so I have to watch it on Sunday Ticket. And when the games are on Fox or CBS, it's okay, we can watch it. But since when they changed the game, I wasn't able to get the game for like 5 minutes until they put the game back on Sunday Ticket. Like that's the only thing about blowouts. Like if they change that coverage, I have to wait until they put the game back on Sunday Ticket. So I missed like 5 minutes of the game trying to wait. But
shoot,
the game ball, my game ball, you guys are gonna give me for this one, but my game ball goes to Andrew Booth Jr.
Let's hear your explanation on this. I'm gonna give you a chance to speak your piece.
Yeah, just for hanging in, maybe.
Ball, No, because coming in from college to playing a corner is extremely hard. We had Xavier Rhodes. When Xavier Rhodes came from Florida State, he was the exact same way. And Zimmer actually came
struggle,
out. Zimmer actually got him right, and he was, on paper, like one of the best corners in the game. You're never going to be one of the best corners in the game if you don't play, if you don't see the coverages and everything like that. So I'm giving him the game ball because now that he got torched and beat like a drum, that guy number 7 on the other side, you need to go talk to him because he has a Hall of Fame career. So that's why I'm giving it.
Trevon Diggs.
I think that no, that guy's awful, man. I'm sorry, but I think Booth getting torched like this is, from a corner standpoint, is great for them because now they can see how these receivers line up. They can see, he's leaning this way. This is going to be this route. So I'm not saying he's going to get better this year, and we're going to see the benefit of it. But for him to actually play this whole game, it's a real big silver lining to me. So I give him the game.
I do agree with Bandito. He didn't get too emotional, which is key.
Yeah,
that's huge.
That's huge.
But
David, I would agree with you 100%. I think that anytime, especially when you're talking about the corner position, it seems like these guys, they need that experience, and it always takes them a while to get up and running. I mean, you look at some of the best corners in the league, they weren't really known as one of the best corners in the league until they were in their second or third year. And it's really that third year jump that you're looking for. So, Yeah, I have a lot of high hopes for him. I'm with you. I love that he got the experience. And yeah, at the end of the day, hopefully he uses this as motivation, plays with that chip on his shoulder, and then comes to work every day just thinking, man, I don't want to feel like that again. And just use it as a motivator, right, into
Right.
next year and going forward. So I think that'll be good. I like that a lot. That's a good take.
All right, good enough. I'll give it to you, and I do agree. Rhodes was not good for the first couple of years. It did take some time. It did take some time. So sometimes we just have to be patient, even though when you're in an 8-1 season, it's a little hard to be patient when those things can potentially cost you a game. But anyways, moving on, Tony, list of the week.
Yeah.
List of the week. Pie, since Thanksgiving is here. And then on Thursday, I don't know who's all going to be here on Thursday, but we'll probably do a little draft for the rest of the Thanksgiving feast.
Yes.
But we got to do pie on its own, right?
Yeah,
we
now,
gotta
Carson, do you want to do draft style this week where maybe we go through
Sure.
and like
yeah.
we all get a first pick, second
That's
round
right.
pick, third pick? That'd be kind of fun.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So I think David went first last week. Tony?
No, I'm gonna defer. You can take the first overall pick, first round. Maybe do you guys want to do 3 rounds? So we'll do first round, second round, third round. I think that's pretty fair, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. All right. So, list of the week. For those of you that don't know, we've been doing this segment for a couple of times now where we have a list of things that we are trying to, basically the best. We're trying to get the best according to what we like. And so last week we did breakfast food. My top 3 was scrambled eggs along with French toast and bacon. And then, I don't know what you guys, I can't even remember what you guys had. By
the way, my breakfast food got the most amount of fantasy points. So
did it? Okay. All right. I'm glad you kept up on that.
I did.
The breakfast food
full
fantasy.
PPR.
Yeah.
Full PPR breakfast.
That's right. So, and then we did Halloween candy a few weeks ago. And so now this week we're doing pie. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my first pick because I love it. Pumpkin pie. And you gotta throw on the Cool Whip, right? You gotta put some Cool Whip on there. And oh man, I'm a sucker for Thanksgiving pumpkin pie. So that's my first overall pick. And
not to be confused with Miracle Whip.
That's right. That's right. Don't ever do that again.
Don't try that at home, kids.
Yeah.
Don't try that at home.
That's exactly right. Okay.
David, it's over to you, man. Who are you going in round 1?
Sweet potato pie.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, almost a little spin-off.
Little underrated.
Yeah, that's one I feel like. So I grew up in the South. So I am in the Twin Cities. I am up in Viking land now. But growing up in the South, that was always a staple. I don't see it as much here in the Midwest as much as I did in the South, but sweet potato pie is it's a good first round pick. I like it. It's a dark horse.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Bandito, he commented here, they're drafting all the courses. We're going to draft everything else, Bandito, on Thursday. We're doing pie today, and then we're doing the rest of the meal on Thursday. So we got to get our pies ready before the meal.
That's right.
But, Tony, what do you got?
All right, so I am going to go with, I think, a staple. I'm going to go with the old French silk pie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you got that chocolate. You got the whip. It's so good. It's like just a slice of chocolate pudding and diabetes. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and that's a good one though. That is a good one. I'm gonna go ahead with the old American classic, apple pie. Apple pie with my next pick.
What kind of apple pie?
Yeah, is it the Dutch or does it have the crumble on top?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a
Or is it
good
just regular old pie crust?
Just regular old pie or Dutch pie?
That's a good question. What would you rather have?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I like that crumble top, man.
Me
That
too.
crumble
Yeah.
top
Yep.
is elite.
All right,
Just a
crumble
little
top
ice
it is.
cream, wow.
Apple crumble. There it is, Bandito. Yes, sir. We're going with it. So we got pumpkin pie, and we got apple pie on my drafted here. So let's go back over
Very
to
nice.
David after the sweet potato pie, the underrated pick first there.
I'm gonna go with pecan pie.
I was waiting for that one to come off the board. That's a good one. It's a good one. And then more Cool Whip on there. Oh,
Yes.
oh man, it's good stuff. Good pick.
Yep.
I missed it. What was the pick? You got to tell
Pecan.
me. Ooh,
Pecan
pie.
pie. Yeah, whatever you want to
Again,
call
if I was living down south, it'd be pecan pie.
it. Pecan pie.
Pecan
Pecan.
pie. Oh boy, I'm gonna go. Oh boy. What do I go with? I'm gonna go with.
Our lemon bars of pie.
Yeah, lemon bars are elite. Yeah, maybe desserts would have been easier. I'm starting to run out of pies. I'm gonna go with a. I'm just gonna go with like a cherry pie. Just like a cherry, like your standard. You got the cherries, you got the cherry sauce. Is it real? Is it not real food? I don't know, but it's delicious and it's sweet, full of sugar.
That is a fact. That is a fact. I think for my final one here. So you took French silk. I'm gonna go with a chocolate silk pie.
Oh,
and
okay.
that's gonna round out my 3. So I got chocolate silk. I thought about banana cream, so somebody might take that here, but
Yeah.
that would have been a good one. But I'm going with chocolate silk, pumpkin pie, and apple pie. I think that's a really good trio to bring to any Thanksgiving party.
Yeah, that's pretty elite.
David?
I gotta think of a good one now. I got the pecan, I got the sweet potato.
Need a little fruit in there?
Yeah, maybe. You took the apple pie. What's another one?
And I got the cherry.
I don't know.
Ooh, key lime pie, says Bandito.
Yeah.
Bandito, thank you. Key lime pie. Key lime pie, exactly. Thank
There you go.
Oh, you sniped me, David. Bandito, no.
Was that really going to be yours?
That was going to be mine.
Really?
I couldn't think of another one, but that's great too.
Yeah, I got a number 4. I got a number 4 to draft, and that's going to be a lemon meringue.
Oh,
The old lemon meringue pie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go with the old coconut cream pie, but
man.
yeah,
We left some good ones on the board, didn't we?
That's more for the family, because I'm going to tell you something. I do not like coconut on anything. I like the flavoring.
Get out of here.
It's like eating coconut is like chewing fingernails. It's like you're not done eating coconut. You're just like, oh, like I guess I'm done now, and I'll just swallow my fingernail clippings that I've been chewing on. So, no, I don't like it. And yes, I ruined coconut for everybody that was listening. Again, coconut fingernail clippings.
Whoa. They are the best fingernail clippings you'll ever have.
This is true. Tastes like you're on the island.
Hey, I know a lot of people don't like Almond Joy, but I am one of those people. So they do bring me joy. But
how about Mounds? You a Mounds fan? Just the coconut and chocolate?
I haven't toothpaste. No, I haven't done any Mounds, but if I do have anything with coconut, it'll be Almond Joy. But let's be real. Reese's for the win. I had to pick that when we did our Thanksgiving or our Halloween candy, but yeah. So there you have it. There's your list of the week there. Let's get into final statements. Into final statements here, guys. Again, not a good game. Nothing went the Vikings' way. Literally nothing except one field goal.
At least they didn't miss it.
Yeah, That's right.
Joseph,
They didn't miss it.
Joseph.
They didn't Yes, that's right. Joseph for MVP. He's still got a chance. He's still got a chance.
That's right.
Matt Daniels endorsed. No, I I go back to what I said earlier, and you guys said it too. This team is going to tell us a lot about themselves on Thursday. We're going to find out a lot, because if this team comes in flat-footed on Thursday and puts up a similar type of performance and maybe doesn't get blown out by 37 or whatever it was, 37. If they get blown out, if they even lose by double digits against New England, like, I'm worried about this team. I'm worried about this team going forward, because if we give the Vikings a pass for this game, you need to come back in next week and you need to right the ship, and you need to look more like what you did the last 8 weeks of the year before this loss. Like, that's something they need to do if they want to be taken seriously around the league. Otherwise, this is exactly what the national media was referring to and didn't give the Vikings their respect because of games like this. And that's what I don't want to happen again, because then all of the hype is going to go away and things might start to go completely down. 2-year plan, says Bandito, which, competitive rebuild. I guess that's what we have here. So no Glendale as of right now, but big game on Thursday. Obviously, we'll probably try and talk about it throughout the week at least a little bit. And I'm not convinced that they're going to win on Thursday, but we'll see what happens. David, I'm going to throw it to you, and then we'll let Tony wrap things up here for the final statements.
Okay, my final statements is a couple of things. With Ed Donatel moving Patrick Peterson from one side to the other to give some help, that actually showed me that he's not going to stick to his guns, that he's able to do adjustments on the fly, and we might see some new wrinkles going forward, because he never does that. Another thing also too with the offense, we need to really get other guys involved into this passing game, because when it gets down to just throw it to JJ or throw it to Hawk, I mean, there's other. I said it before. We need to see Rager a little bit more, and I really love this team. I think this team has heart, but if they don't come out fast against New England and actually win this game, I agree with you guys, then they will be in trouble. But I must be optimistic looking forward. I still think they're going to probably run off the next 5. Hopefully.
Run out the next 5. Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I hope you're right, David. I think, and really to Carson's point too, we're going to learn a lot about this team.
Yes.
In 4 days, and I do want to see them continue to have a counterpunch, to show that they can evolve, to show that there's more in the bag of tricks that we haven't seen. I think that's going to be key. Again, I'm going to feel bad about this loss for today. And then after today, look forward to Thanksgiving with the Patriots. And I'm going to reserve judgment on this team until we get through that game.
I agree.
Because I think that's going to inform me how bad I feel about this game. As dumb as that sounds.
That's a good point. No, that's a good point. I like that.
And so, nope, I'm still optimistic about this team. I think if you are feeling good about the Vikings coming out of the Bills week, you should still feel good about the Vikings and just hope that, you know what, these games happen even to the best teams. I mean, who won the Super Bowl last year was the Rams. Were the Rams perfect during the regular season? No. So the end of the day, guys, if we're excited about this team, continue to be excited about the team. Just look at this as a blip on the radar, and let's hope that we confirm that on Thursday with a big win against the Patriots.
Yeah, and maybe this is exactly what we needed to break the primetime curse, as my dad says. So
that's right. We can't just keep relying on the noon nightmare. We can't keep relying on the noon nightmare.
Thursday? Are they the last game?
Yep, 7:20. It's the Sunday night crew's covering it. So
Everything I
that's
said go out the window. They lost.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's all
I'm
over.
just joking with you guys. They're gonna be okay. They're
Yeah.
gonna
right.
be okay.
That's right.
I think we're gonna be fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the squad will be fine. We'll get back on track. I think the biggest things to look for this week before we get to Thursday is just some of the injury updates. Just to start off, David, you were great coming through, letting us know that Darisaw again has been ruled out for Thursday. So anybody that might have missed that earlier, David gave us the fast track on that info. Darisaw is going to be out, so it's just going to be who are we going to get back? Is there anybody else who we might miss? For Thursday, because as we know, as they start to settle after this game, sometimes injuries can kind of pop up. Guys start to tighten up. So let's just hope we don't have any weird injuries that would get reported, let's say tomorrow or Tuesday. But otherwise, let's look forward to Thursday. I hope everybody has a fantastic week leading up to it with Thanksgiving coming up. I know I'm excited. I don't know about you guys.
Speaking on the next games, you guys know last year. I'm not sure if I got the dates right. The Rams didn't win a game in the whole month last season, and they still won a Super Bowl
of November.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't win the game the whole month. So let's lose every game this month and win a Super Bowl then.
So you're telling me there's a chance
That's right.
that we lose the rest of our games this month?
Yeah,
That's just the Kevin O'Connell game plan. He's bringing over from LA.
Game plan. Okay, I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, some of that stayed in LA. Hopefully.
That's right.
Not the Super Bowl part. That bring that over. But
yeah, that's right.
The rest of what the Rams have been doing this year, you can keep that.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm certainly ready to wrap this week up, tuck this one into bed, and I'm looking forward to talking to you all after we win on Thursday. But before we leave, we should probably give it a good old Skol, and then we'll see you all next week. All right, are we ready?
Next week.
Skol!
Next week.